to the
हमें जानते थे कि हमें भी अपने पदचिन्ह बनाने होंगे। यह 22 अक्टूबर 2008 का दिन था। भारत ने अपने अंतरिक्ष कार्यक्रम के एक नए अध्याय की शुरुआत की। चंद्रयान-1 सफलतापूर्वक लॉन्च किया गया। इसके गौरवमयी कार्यकाल में इस मिशन ने एक ऐतिहासिक खोज दर्ज कराई। हमने चंद्रमा पर पानी खोज निकाला और अब आगे कुछ भी पहले जैसा नहीं रह जाएगा। चंद्रयान-1 ने विज्ञान को एक नया दृष्टिकोण दिया, सबका ध्यान और सम्मान अपनी ओर खींचा। लेकिन हमारे लिए यह यात्रा सिर्फ एक शुरुआत है। यह एक नई दुनिया की खोज में हमारा पहला कदम था, जो वास्तव में हमें अपने ही बारे में बताता है। यह मानव जाति के उन सवालों के जवाब देने की शुरुआत थी जो वह हमेशा पूछती रहती है। पिछले 10 वर्षों के दौरान देश भर से हजारों लोग सिर्फ एक सपने के लिए एक साथ आगे आए हैं। भारत का अगला बड़ा अभियान। हम पूरी तरह तैयार हैं। क्या आप हैं?
Well, that particular piece from ISRO lists the achievements, the aspirations and the ambitions of India as a collective. Indian Space Research Organization, one body that has relentlessly, since time immemorial, I can say, after independence, has been at it, has been trying its best, putting its best foot forward to put India on top. History was made by ISRO as Chandrayaan-3 soared into the skies carrying a rover on its second lunar mission in July 2019. The Indian Space Research Organization has achieved remarkable progress since its humble beginnings. ISRO's journey began back in 1962 as the Indian National Committee for Space Research, led by Vikram Sarabhai and physicist K.R. Ramanathan, with limited resources, a small team of scientists and minimal funding. They assembled their first rocket a year later using bicycles for transportation. Over 60 years later, we are now launching rockets to the moon, Mars and beyond. In 2013, ISRO reached for the stars once more. Setting its sight on Mars, the Mangalyaan or the Mars Orbiter mission was launched and successfully entered Martian orbit in 2014, continuously transmitting valuable data ever since. Now with Chandrayaan-3, ISRO adds another remarkable achievement to its illustrious track record, showcasing how rockets can be launched into space on a modest budget. This accomplishment gives over 1 billion people a reason to believe that anything is possible. Marking an attempt to land on the south pole of the moon, Chandrayaan-2 was launched on July 22, 2019. However, the mission did not succeed and the country stopped short of becoming the first nation to successfully land on the lunar surface in its maiden attempt. The Chandrayaan-2 obviously is not a failure. That's what the underlying aspect is, because till now, the data collected through Chandrayaan-2, NASA also acknowledging it and making headway into further forays into the outer space. In 2019, the Indian Space Research Organization had launched 6 vehicle missions and 7 satellite missions, which included 50 foreign satellites from 7 countries. This was remarkable, a feat that only ISRO could achieve. Visuals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi at that time in 2019 hugging the ISRO chief in an attempt to console and encourage him after the soft landing on the lunar surface could not achieve its target. And on that time, Prime Minister Modi could also be seen patting Sivan as he broke down at the space agency's headquarters in Bengaluru.
An array of emotions on display, but the moist eyes of Chairman ISRO सभी को शुभकामनाएं भी दी। इंडियन स्पेस रिसर्च ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के चेयरमैन डॉक्टर के सिवान को गले लगाते हुए, पीठ थपथपाते हुए, हौसला बंधाते हुए माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी।
Looking ahead to the successful launch of Chandrayaan-3, ISRO former chief K. Sivan recalled how Prime Minister Narendra Modi's hug after the space agency lost contact with Chandrayaan-2 lander Vikram in September had taught him many lessons. During the course of the show, we'll be bringing you what K. Sivan had to say about this historic feat that ISRO had achieved and how the nation led by Prime Minister consoling the man who was attempting something which has never done before. Joining me to discuss the long journey of ISRO and how it is going to culminate into another launch of Chandrayaan-3 this Friday, B.K. Tyagi, Scientist D, Principal Scientific Officer, Vigyan Prasad, Government of India, and G. Raju, former Senior Scientist, ISRO, joins us on the broadcast. Gentlemen, thank you so much, and it couldn't have been more opportune time than this to have you on the show and learn from you that how things have gone from here and how in 1962 from the humble beginnings it all started. Mr. Tyagi, for those who are so much interested in extraterrestrial, beyond the spatial places, how excited one should be and how excited you are, obviously, on this launch of Chandrayaan-3 first to begin with, sir.
I think I'm excited since the day when this date was announced, and I'm waiting for that moment because we have to still wait for the final, the last mission that objective which could not achieve last time, but this time, it's going. Those correction has been done in design of the this propulsion module itself, which was a orbiter last time, and the design of that that rover also has been changed. The lander also, there's design, fuel, etc., everything. So last time actually there was a the word which has become very popular, the technical glitch at the last moment. It was because of maybe it was a software problem as well as a hardware problem. What the things came from the ISRO itself. So those correction has been done, and I think it's a proud moment for every citizen of the country to look for that moment when India will be creating an history.
Right. Mr. Raju, obviously, when it comes to high ticket, high value launches like this, obviously all eyes and expectations are very big from premier institutes like ISRO. In your learned opinion, sir, how critical and how important is Chandrayaan-3 as far as the lunar exploration is concerned, and how does it add value to the space unknown?
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm G. Raju from ex-ISRO person.
Pleasure,
I think we are all looking for the very successful mission for this time to launch Chandrayaan-3. We are basically looking at a possible three different sections of the mission are there. One is the launch itself. Then before what we failed last time with the mission could not achieve putting the Pragna, that is the rover, on the surface of the moon because the lander could not do the expected, it could not reach the destination. But this time, as we hear many things from ISRO sources, that we are looking at all the possible failures. What could fail? What could, like hardware or software or algorithms? That is the seriousness, a little bit different way. Instead of looking at the successes, as we hear from various sources, including Chairman ISRO,
Right. So, as it has been mentioned by Mr. Raju, let's also listen in to former Chairman of ISRO, K. Sivan, who also lists that how important is Chandrayaan-3 and what are the preparations. Let's listen in.
Now, for correcting that discrepancies, what are happen in the Chandrayaan-2, for correcting that one, we are not depending on any other country. And we understood what really happened, what went wrong. And the failure modes we could recreate in the ground. So after recreated the failure modes, then we strengthened with the modification. And with that modifications, that again it has gone through detailed testing, analysis, and found that everything is in order. So we are not depending on any other country to do this work. That we have done everything indigenously within ISRO.
Sir, his orbiter is very much capable to land off this time, sir?
The orbiter this time is not there. This time, that is the earlier we had that orbiter, lander, and rover. This time, instead of orbiter, that we have a propulsion module. That is, orbiter contains a propulsion module plus some scientific instruments. So their scientific instruments are not there. Only propulsion module is there, and also along with that, lander and rover are also there in this mission.
What was the biggest challenge you see, sir, to consider in this Chandrayaan-3? What was the biggest challenge?
No, this the challenge what the Chandrayaan-3 is facing, it will be same as Chandrayaan-2. It is no change. We are that the environment at which it is landing, it is the same that the moon environment, the lunar environment. That way the challenges are same. There is now no new challenge. But this time that we are hoping that we have done enough the groundwork based on the lessons whatever we learned from Chandrayaan-2. That way we are that having confidence level is more. Now at that time also we have gone ahead with the full confidence only. But you know, in the space system, there are some known unknowns, unknown unknowns. These unknown unknowns will come only in the flight, which we never happen in the ground. Usually, this type of the thing which is not revealed in the ground, which will be revealed only in the flight, the first mission. Sometimes it won't happen, and so that we will be successful. Sometimes will be like unlucky that problems will come, new problems. So we have gone ahead, and even now also we do not know anything. New issues are going to come that we do not know. We are only hoping that all issues we have addressed and corrected, and the whole it is going with a good hope this time that with the success we are thinking that we will be having good success.
Sir, how important do you think this will goes well, sir?
No, that is the first of all that what we are getting is that is this technology, that is that landing on a celestial body. We are traveling all the way from Earth to a celestial body. That we already had during Chandrayaan-1 and Chandrayaan-2, and by landing successfully in this time, we will be acquiring that landing technology we acquire that India will have, so that it will be useful for the future generation. And along with that, this particular mission that owns landing on the moon, and that there are a lot of scientific experiments are planned with the instruments put it in the lander as well as rover. That way, the scientists will have more knowledge about the geology of the moon, so that this will be useful for understanding the moon as well as for understanding that origin of Earth. That way, it will be beneficial for our as India, as a technological power will increase. At the same time, it will have the benefit of having a new science about the moon.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
So much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, Sivan, a man who needs no introduction. We saw him leading from the front in 2019, and all his good wishes are there. For those who are joining the broadcast just now, this is a special show on the Friday 14th launch of Chandrayaan-3 onto the lunar path. B.K. Tyagi, Scientist D, Principal Scientific Officer, from Vigyan Prasar, Government of India, and G. Raju, former senior scientist, ISRO, are there with us. So, Mr. Tyagi, we heard former Chief Sivan, and in his own words, a lot is different this time around. Could you please throw some more light on how this landing is being approached in a different manner, in an improvised manner, if I may say so, than 2019?
See, there are one thing is like we have a foolproof technology in terms of the launching vehicle. Our GSLV has proved his credential earlier also. Then the second aspect is what the difference is like we have that propulsion module in which there is no because our orbiter which are already there, it is still working. So we are getting data from that. So there was no need this time to take an orbiter also. So this the propulsion module contain only the lander and the rover in that. So this is a modification plus the designing of this the lander and in the and also in the rover. So idea was to whatever like as just Sivan Saab has said, like whatever the uh, drawbacks or some limiting factor were there, those has been removed. See, the other option, like they have repeated the experiment ISRO and learned from that. So there was one thing which was came into our knowledge also was that like there was a some hardware problem in software. The algorithm which was written, it was the parameter which is defined was very strict. So that flexibility was not there. So when the lender has reached there, it was difficult for him to deviate from if it find the space environment or where it is landing different. So this was the thing which has been corrected now. The it is more self-supportive in the sense like taking decision where is to land and taking its own decision at that time. And finally, the landing should be soft. All those precaution has been taken by design and by the software, and also the rover which will give us more information about the geology of the moon and this we call Chanda as a Chand, as a moon, as a Chanda Mama. Why? Because it is a brother of our Earth. So, so there, because of we have more information about the origin of Earth, because the material, the things which are lying there, those are not touched upon. They are still in a virgin state, and the South Pole where we are going, even the light has not reached there. So everything is intact. So it will give us a more information. You can say the more whatever knowledge we have for about the moon just now, it is more on indirect basis.
Right.
Okay, except the moon mission and all that, it is through satellite or remote sensing. But now the rover will be analyzing then and there and sending us the information. So this will be the, you can say, and India will be the first country to have this kind of information from the South Pole.
Right.
Okay, that
absolutely.
Because it is always in the dark, and this is the place also where we have a water in the crystalline form, and it has its own advantage. If suppose water is there, so then, and this location is also very ideal for other, transplanetary journeys. You can go to the Mars and Venus also. And if the water is there, I think you have a source of energy. Then you don't have to take that much, fuel to the moon and or to other things. So main here is the fuel economy. And if we have the water and if we are able to set up our space station, I think it's a win-win situation for us. And I think this this mission will give us, the path for the future of Indian space, not only about the technology, but the space mission as well. It can be a space tourism we can also start.
Right. Mr. Tyagi, Mr. Raju, listening to both of you, for audience sitting across, the television screens, it looks so easy, the propulsion and the liftoff and everything. But what goes beyond this, what Mr. Tyagi is mentioning, is something that can only be, felt when you are there. Mr. Raju, you have must have been part of so many expeditions, so many projects that have happened being associated with ISRO. What is the preparation? We are just over 48 hours away from the launch of Chandrayaan-3. What is the atmosphere? क्या हो रहा होता है, क्या चल रहा होता है, last minute checks and balances, all those things?
Yes. Basically, we will have to, in the Sriharikota launch complex, as my experience goes, one has to look for the weather. There are good radars, wind profilers, and many meteorological instrumentation waiting to declare go. So the mission director, the launch sequence will start the moment the meteorological conditions. Of course, we have enough robust launch vehicle to take care of even in case of some extreme weather. But it's always better to have a very predictable launch, smooth launch, so that in the complex know what is actively going on, monitoring the weather, particularly wind speed, direction. So there is a very efficient wind profiler, and there are radars, of course, to support them. And looking you can see the launch vehicle with various stages of experimental checks going on at all levels, including the payload. So this is what I expect the people or the experts worrying about 24/7 until the last 48 hours. This is the preparation. Of course, they have completely conducted the simulation on ground, looking at the environment and what all will happen until the launch phase up to the final destination of the moon. So there will be environment checks already done. They'll be only looking at the voltages and currents and the telemetry, telecommand, robustness, whether everything is working or not. Are there any interferences? These are the last minute checks.
Right. Right, Mr. Raju. Mr. Tyagi, Vigyan Prasar is playing a yeoman's role, let me tell you, in proliferation of science because not just from now, since Doordarshan days, since we were kids, all these events, even a meteor passing by, there used to be shows and very clear concepts on science and all these extra terrestrial celestial bodies. I could not help but mention Dr. K. Kasturi Rangan, former chairman ISRO's comment to Mr. Vajpayee. Mr. Vajpayee said, Mr. Vajpayee said the mission should be called Chandrayaan and not Somyan, as the country has emerged as an economic power and will make many exploratory journeys to the moon. This is what the vision of the then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee was. Over the years, Mr. Tyagi, how have we evolved when it comes to acceptance of science as part and parcel of our life, and how receptive has been the society in general, if I may ask you, to matters like these?
I think the most visual example which has been the initiative which has been taken by the Vigyan Prasar in since last 25 years is that celestial event which we call it a solar eclipse. Okay.
Right.
So you remember even the Doordarshan has shown one film, so the people should remain inside the houses. Nobody should come and watch it. But now I think we are having that solar eclipse tourism. People are coming to the belt of totality and watching it. Vigyan Prasar has distributing that solar filter where the intensity of the light has been reduced by 1 lakh times. So you can see through those filter the eclipse with the softness like a moon. So this is, and there is you can see now people are on the roads. People are going to the belt of totality where you can see the total solar eclipse. And so this is one change which I see from superstitions to that festive look to such celestial event. So that way the society has been progressing. The scientific temperament which we generally talk about, people start analyzing and defying those myths and superstitions which are associated with these kinds of event. And the way this Chandrayaan, the enthusiasm which has it has created, because almost all the media is now covering, even before the event, and it will remain, a very live issue till the time we on 24 or 23rd or 20 August, when the final stage of the landing will come. So this is you can say a marker or indicators of the progress of the society, where the scientific event has been seen as a part and parcel of, and where you feel enthusiastic about science itself and your achievement, because now this is a time for the technology. Your each and every aspect of life is, influenced or governed by science and technology. If we don't have that understanding, if we'll not go with that, that means we are not moving ahead with the time. So this is one example where people are coming out of their, houses and watching the eclipse in a safe way, because
Right.
you don't have to watch it by naked eyes. But the lot of devices and methods are available. We, as in Vigyan Prasar, we have been popularizing those methods. Even if you don't have a filter, even then how safely you can watch these kinds of events. And not only that, we have covered events like Transit of Venus, in 2004, and then again in 2012, it became a national festival,
Right.
astronomical festival. So, and this is like creating an interest in astrophysics, astrobiology among our youngsters, because if we have to take up the space, technology in a big way, we need a constant supply of our human resource also in terms of scientists. So this all is towards that, creating that science and technology is a part and parcel of our normal life. It is not something that it is not for you or for me. It is for everybody.
Right,
It's like
right.
that.
Right. Mr. Raju, obviously, needless to say, the way science and technology is shaping our lives more so, today than ever. This is something which is a very coveted space, and I remember in the young students also, IIT aspirants, aerospace is something that is being treated as one of the coveted topmost, even ahead of mechanical and computer science. This is how we have learned and grown up listening to. In your opinion, sir, as of now, India, over the period of years, irrespective of the leadership, has made big strides when it comes to aerospace and science and technology and space research. What is it that India needs to build from here on, say for another 20 years, a futuristic plan that would keep the momentum going on, in your view, sir?
Yes, you have hit the right point of the today's youngsters, engineering students, particularly aerospace. Currently, I am a professor, visiting professor in aerospace in the Jain University, and I teach these kind of targets, what ISRO wants to do. And there are lots, I'm very happy to announce here that many of our students have been able to have their own startups. Even in COVID time, to mention a few examples, they have converted the lab when the movement was restricted. They have converted the lab, they have converted the garage or home into a small lab. Of course, I told them be careful about explosive things being used. That apart, that is the enthusiasm with which today's students are coming forward. I'm sure many more startups recently in the startup, one of the conclaves that was held around Bangalore, I could see more than 100 startups looking for participating in the development of small satellites, nano satellites, and also this ISRO also is encouraging such things by giving some limited amount of support. And this is a trend in the universities and colleges which should be further amplified. And people have, the universities have come forward in many cases to support financially, as well as organizing many workshops and conferences to further for the next, I should say, in the next 5 years. Certainly, ISRO or India will have number of startups from young enthusiastic Aerospace, mechanical, of course, mechanical also is having a part of a very major role in this, particularly aerospace, electronics, AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning is the talk of the day. So, for
Right.
example, let us look at the Chandrayaan itself. When we lose communication or contact with the moon, we cannot do much on ground.
Right.
You have to make built-in software or make the satellite intelligent to decide on its own instead of depending on the commands from the ground. Because there is no time, the time taken is to send a command or investigate what's happening is not possible because the distance of the moon, 3 million kilometers. And so everything should be, the intelligence has to be built into the system itself, into the
Right.
satellite, so
Right.
that it carry on forward without any hurdle. So this is what is the trend today. And as you can also see, the students, the admissions are very well going on for these two particular, branches, aerospace as well as AI and ML. And we are in the right direction, and the students and the parents and the universities are catching up. And I'm sure in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll have, we have already have people who are able to launch not only satellite making the satellites or payloads, they are able to make launch vehicles as proven in some of the recent missions. So this is what
Right.
I expect to catch up, and there's a lot of value. Some of the international agencies are asking for data from some of these not ISRO kind of data, but startup agencies. And I'm very happy, and I'm seeing the trend be very positive. And also, in my own personal experience, the enthusiasm to work in a project related space is humongous.
Right.
Everybody wants to work. Yes. I should say that though there is no scope to really make everyone get into places like ISRO, there are enough support given by ISRO to build small systems, to give encouragement. In fact, ISRO will allow, if I remember the latest one is, they allow if they are within the dimensions or power or mass, there will be free launch. There will be free launch for the universities. And this is a very good, important encouragement being given to the universities and even for the startups. There is some of the components which are very difficult to get, like thermal or maybe some solar panel related, hardware. So hardware will be given to some extent, but they will
Right.
also allow you to help. They will also allow the students or the startup to go and test, because testing a satellite at university level or a startup
Right.
company may be difficult. So
Right.
that open-hearted, I should say, welcome is there from the ISRO for permitting the students to come and use their facility. These are all some of the very, very important support being offered by ISRO.
Right. Mr. Tyagi, let me bring you in here. Mr. Raju has highlighted very crucial aspect of nurturing the talent right from the word go. We make institutions of higher learning, we have students with potential, they go to the universities, in their research labs. This time around, sir, all I want to ask from you is, when it comes to startups, and Government of India has been paying special attention to startups in aerospace. Down south, we are seeing lots of educational higher institutions of higher learning are indulging into it. We have IIT Kanpur also developing a lab in collaboration with GE, as I gather, as far as the research is concerned. How important it is from the government's point of view to actually work and shape and provide them with the necessary equipments and the wherewithal that Mr. Raju mentioned. We have seen that there have been tie-ups with the United States also, as far as artificial intelligence is concerned and semiconductors are concerned. How are we going to achieve that? What is the road ahead? Mr. Tyagi. You'll have to unmute yourself, sir, I believe.
I think from my side it is on.
I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. looking after. Also, most of the work, because their cost is high, because this research or this equipment supply is done by the private sector. But we are, like ISRO has done everything, assembled everything in house. So that's why one thing is that it make our entire venture, entire mission very cost effective as compared to if we see from the other countries, especially USA. So the government role will remain important in terms of because science and technology is still startup is more a developing into a technology or into a product. But the basic science which give the branches for numerous startup for their main route will remain our R&D institutions. So supporting the basic research over which that can be different, that if that knowledge will come in a public domain, so a lot of startup will come up. So it's like creating, because earlier we never had a culture of startup. Any research which is done, it is lying only as a report. But now it start coming out of those. Besides publishing those 3-4 paper for your PhD, now the things are coming. Those are the new tech or new science or new knowledge which has been developed. The efforts are there to convert it into a product now. So or into a technology. So this change we see since last a few year, or you can say since this our new government has come, because of these initiatives, especially like it is the startup promotion, it cannot be done in isolation. It has to be the backup of the fresh R&D, fresh ideas. I'll give you an example. Just now I'm in Ahmedabad, and here this a competition evaluation is going on robots. So I have seen the students from our NITs, IITs, different colleges, and even school. They have coming out with different kinds of robot, and with the which can be used, which can perform different function. And there was a category which was about this the rovers also. So now suppose if somebody, so you have actually diversified the base of research in terms of when we say the startup, because when you start any startup, you have to starting with the mathematical modeling, and then a prototype, and finally a commercial product. So it's a again a lot of R&D is involved, which is in a way, in a decentralized way, we have expanded our base for R&D as well, which are actually utilizing those basic science to convert into a technology. So I think this kind of change in the next few more years, we will see more visibility. It's already going on, but that visibility of, because when the product will start coming out, so we'll see more such, the you can say the effort is bearing its fruit that
Right,
way.
right. Mr. Raju, one final word from your side, sir. Obviously, a momentous day is approaching, and needless to say, all eyes would be on it. For the scientific community, including Mr. Tyagi and you, let me very quickly share with you a very small anecdote that happened with me only. I was traveling through train to my home 1 year, I remember maybe 5-6 years ago. And the conversation, started around the building of bridges. And one fine gentleman said कि engineers जो होते हैं वो देश का आज बनाते हैं, and वो होते हैं जो पुल बनाते हैं, वो होते हैं जो सड़कें बनाते हैं. And then in the same breath he told me, और जो scientists होते हैं वो भविष्य बनाते हैं, they make the future. So this is something that we all are respectful to, both of you, to your community, and to all your team members who put in a lot of effort, and behind the scenes they work so hard, and the spectacle that we would be seeing on 14th is something which is very rare, and we all appreciate that. One final word from you, Mr. Raju, on the fact that how does it go down, with the scientific community when efforts like these are put in, when events like these happen? What is the general perception? Are there other plans also in place, to keep the ball rolling?
Yes, certainly. It cannot stop here. It's only a beginning for going for extra galactic missions like Chandrayaan. And you have already seen even now the Mars orbiter mission is in working condition, and there are a lot of interest among. See, normally ISRO calls for announcement of opportunity (AO). That means they will give you data free of cost, provided you justify, yes, I will use this kind of research. So this is one beginning of all the academic institutions, even private partners and government agencies, looking for science out of all the mission that had taken place so far. Now, the next, in my view, is also going on today in the generally in space domain is to go and explore the Venus, explore the Sun. You know that if ISRO is planning to launch Aditya L1, and certainly there are a lot of queries from the students. When will we get this data? What kind of data do we get? How do we analyze? How can we prepare for these things? This is the kind of enthusiasm coming from the young students, younger generation. There are PhD students who have taken up some jobs, some topics related to scientific applications of remote sensing, astronomy, as well as technology. For example, NAVIC. For example, in my own experience, NAVIC, the Navic satellite constellation, has already been very successful with university students. ISRO has generously given lot of these devices free of cost, and many people, many students have written very good papers. They've been able to make their presence felt through these offers, through the announcement of opportunity. Not only that, availability of data, and certainly we will hope that more and more data will come from, as Dr. Jackie already told, orbiter is already working in space,
Right.
and we are getting there are 8 instruments, wonderful instruments. Some of them are
Absolutely.
really good. Some of them are
Absolutely.
trying to find out the data related to the availability of moon, availability of water on moon. Chandrayaan detected the availability, but now how much? That is
Right.
the kind of question mark, that is the kind of enthusiasm that is being generated amongst the scientists.
Right.
Because once you go there, like some of the countries are using it as a launch base for efficient launching for higher levels. Moon can be a launch base, and for which you need to survive there for long duration.
Right.
There is so need water. But one of the
Right.
major scientific aspects being looked for is how much water. How can I generate any some projects are also, some people are also talking about generating solar panels
True.
from water
True.
available from the material on the surface of the moon itself. It's a wonderful proposition. We have to
Right.
look forward to it. And we should encourage our students, our younger generation, our own startups to simulate the moon surface, not only measure. What we get from Pragna is only a sample, it's an in situ measurement. To confirm what orbiter is looking at. This is only to confirmation. But in the larger sense, when you want to
Yes.
make the scale bigger, you must know how much more research is required on the surface of the moon itself. Apart from that, there are enthusiasms regarding the Aditya L1 mission. There is a solar wind. We might have heard daily. We get some information about the solar winds, solar flares that are disturbing your communication. They're
Right.
disturbing many of the installations. There are some fears. There are some concerns. I won't say fear, concerns about what will happen in the near future. So let us look at the solar, activities themselves. And
Right.
there is enough enthusiasm about Venus.
Uh-huh.
Venus is a very, very harsh climate. It has got a very harsh climate. The temperature
Yes,
is 300 plus. It
yes,
melts.
Mr. Raju.
Yes.
Absolutely, we can. Well, in this case, we can't say even sky is the limit here because we are definitely planning to go beyond that. Mr. Tyagi, your views before we close the show.
I think that's a beginning because the space mission has really created enthusiasm among the youngsters, not only in the scientific community, even the general public also, and it will be giving a great motivation to our younger generation to go into or adopt the career of space science. Space science is not only because if you start a journey to the moon or to interplanetary mission, then you also know the biology. So there are a lot of offshoot of this space science in terms of astrophysics, astrobiology, etc., etc. So there will be many more options. So let's see that and fly our imagination to make it a reality. And this is a beginning on 14th. I think that the first step will be on 14th, around I think 2:30, if I'm correct
Yes,
about
sir,
this.
around that time. Right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for taking time out. And also on News9 Live, let me assure you and reassure you that this is the beginning and not just about the launches and, the space expeditions that ISRO would be launching. Time and again, we keep revisiting the aspect of science and technology in this space here on News9 Live. And thank you so much, all the viewers and the guests, for joining us. Mr. B.K. Tyagi, Scientist D, Principal Scientific Officer, Vigyan Prasar, Government of India, and Mr. G. Raju, former Senior Scientist of ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization. Thank you so much for taking time out. It's an absolute pleasure to speak to you. And before we bid you farewell here, we are playing out once again that small clipping from the ISRO, which obviously is part of a larger picture on Chandrayaan and the plans that ISRO has to go beyond the moon. Let's take a look.
कि हमें भी अपने पदचिन्ह बनाने होंगे। यह 22 अक्टूबर 2008 का दिन था। भारत ने अपने अंतरिक्ष कार्यक्रम के एक नए अध्याय की शुरुआत की। चंद्रयान-1 सफलतापूर्वक लॉन्च किया गया। इसके गौरवमयी कार्यकाल में इस मिशन ने एक ऐतिहासिक खोज दर्ज कराई। हमने चंद्रमा पर पानी खोज निकाला और अब आगे कुछ भी पहले जैसा नहीं रह जाएगा। चंद्रयान-1 ने विज्ञान को एक नया दृष्टिकोण दिया, सबका ध्यान और सम्मान अपनी ओर खींचा। लेकिन हमारे लिए यह यात्रा सिर्फ एक शुरुआत है। यह एक नई दुनिया की खोज में हमारा पहला कदम था, जो वास्तव में हमें अपने ही बारे में बताता है। यह मानव जाति के उन सवालों के जवाब देने की शुरुआत थी जो वह हमेशा पूछती रहती है। पिछले 10 वर्षों के दौरान देश भर से हजारों लोग सिर्फ एक
Pakistan is actually genociding Baloch people. So being Baloch is a crime. If you are a Baloch, it means in the eyes of Pakistan, you don't have any right to live.
The Chinese and Pakistanis are colonizing the Baloch and exploiting their resources.
Baloch armed struggle will continue unless China withdraws, Pakistan military withdraws from Balochistan and give Baloch complete authority to decide for themselves.
The Baloch feel that if they don't act now, they will become marginalized.
What lies ahead for Balochistan?
Balochistan, Bangladesh 2.0, streaming now.
He thought he could outlast us. And 1 year later, the evidence is right here in this room.
Who will blink first?
So far from preventing the expansion of NATO, Russian actions have actually resulted in the expansion of NATO.
It's a mess for Russia and it's a mess for the Western world, for NATO and the United States.
Putin is a dictator, and if he loses, that means